Most scariest yokai, horror myth from Japanese. Gashadokuro, giant skeleton. In a remote village surrounded by dense forests, there was an age-old legend that haunted the villagers' dreams, the Gashadokuro. This terrifying giant skeleton was said to be formed from the bones of those who had perished in battle or from starvation. Left unburied and filled with rage, these bones fused into a colossal being that roamed the land, seeking revenge on anyone who crossed its path. One chilly evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, a weary traveler arrived at the village. His clothes were tattered, and his face was marked by exhaustion. He approached the villagers, hoping for a place to rest and food to eat. The villagers, visibly anxious, refused him shelter and urged him to leave before nightfall. They whispered tales of the Gashadokuro, warning him that the creature was known to hunt down anyone who stayed outside after dark. Disregarding their warnings, as mere superstition, the traveler set up camp near a quiet river on the outskirts of the village. As night fell, the forest became eerily silent. The traveler attempted to sleep, but soon, faint whispers began to fill the air. At first, they were barely audible, but they grew louder and more insistent, carrying with them a chilling sense of sorrow and anger. The ground trembled slightly, and the traveler's unease grew. He looked up and saw it. Emerging from the dense mist, the Gashadokuro stood tall, its skeletal frame towering over the forest. Its eye sockets glowed with a ghostly blue light, and its massive, bony fingers reached out in search of prey. Despite its enormous size, the creature moved with a horrifying silence. Panic surged through the traveler. He grabbed his belongings and fled into the forest. But the Gashadokuro was relentless. Its footsteps shook the ground, and the rattling of bones grew louder with every step. The traveler ran desperately through the dark forest, but the Gashadokuro's skeletal fingers soon closed around him. The last thing he saw was the creature's hollow gaze before he was crushed into the sand. The following morning, the villagers found the remnants of the traveler's camp, torn clothing and scattered belongings. They knew that the Gashadokuro had claimed another victim. Fear spread quickly through the village as more people went missing in the days that followed. The whispers grew louder, and the presence of the Gashadokuro was felt more intensely each night. Desperate to end the terror, the village elder gathered the remaining villagers and revealed the truth. Long ago, the land was the site of a massive battle where countless soldiers had perished. Their bodies were left to decay, abandoned and forgotten. The anger and sorrow of these unburied souls fused them into the Gashadokuro, a creature born of vengeance, forever seeking retribution. The elder explained that to appease the Gashadokuro and end its reign of terror, they needed to honor the forgotten dead. The villagers would have to return to the ancient battlefield, gather the scattered bones, and give them a proper burial. The elder led the villagers to the overgrown battlefield, where they began the solemn task of collecting the remains. They worked tirelessly, placing the bones in graves and offering heartfelt prayers. As the final prayers were spoken, a profound silence fell over the forest. The Gashadokuro appeared one last time, its towering figure standing ominously against the moonlit sky. But this time, the creature's rage seemed to diminish. With a mournful groan, the Gashadokuro began to disintegrate, its skeletal frame crumbling into dust. The terror that had haunted the village was finally over. The village slowly returned to normal, but the legend of the Gashadokuro remained a somber reminder of the importance of honoring the dead. The villagers had learned that neglecting the spirits of the past could lead to unimaginable horrors. They vowed to always remember and respect those who had come before them, ensuring that their souls would find peace and that the Gashadokuro would never return.